Oh.
Hi everyone, we are Incubators Inc. My name is Natalie, this is Nimrod, Anastasia, Sophia, Helen, and Carol. And we are here today to tell you about our integrated marketing communications campaign for Age UK. And here's just a little overview of our agenda and what you can expect in the next 20 minutes. I'm going to pass it over to Anastasia and tell you a little bit more about our agency.
Our agency was founded in 2010 in the United Kingdom. We're a highly profiled agency, digitally progressive, innovative in the building of brand strategies, and with a rich access to the database. What really sets apart from the other agency incubators is personal approach to and long-term and trusted professional relationship.
Okay, so we'll just recap over your brief. We had a quick look at it, and one of the things that we thought that stood out for us was that your positioning is quite similar to one of your competitor brands with the Thief of Loneliness, and actually that's also a similar campaign that we ran very recently. So we're going to talk a little bit about that through the next stage. And also the target age group is quite wide, so we've actually categorised the different things that we want to do depending on whether we want to bring in more volunteers or whether we want to bring in more money. We've categorised those groups separately. So Nat's now going to take you through our objectives.
For the aforementioned brief, just went through, we ended up boiling it down to 3 main objectives, just for simplicity's sake as well as for targeting. So I'll let Nimrod talk to you about the first one.
First objective is based on awareness, and we've tweaked the age group in that regard, because we believe that awareness is such a topic that it can't be given a niche, kind of a target audience. So for that matter, we've extended a bit to the 18-year age group.
Now this next number, we do agree with this initiative to increase the number of volunteers. In the most recent study we found, in the 18 to 25-year-old, actually specifically 16 to 25, but for legal states and avoiding any implications in that regard, we amended it for 18 to 25. And it is within this group that 75% are more inclined to volunteer and want to, but this group as well is more inclined to volunteer for other organizations like Macmillan, which Sophia will touch on in just a moment. And we quantified this number based off the total volunteers, as well as the percentage of the 18 to 25-year-olds already currently volunteering. The 6% then equates to a guaranteed 4,500 increase, and this could even be double. And you'll see how that plays out when we get into the campaign component of this presentation.
The last objective is based on the monetary donations, and we are striving for 1.2 million, and that has been based on the marketing investment that you guys will put in, so that's going to amount to a 20% increase. And this will be derived from the volunteers that we will discuss in detail later, and based on our research, which shows that your net income, 1/3 of it comes from fundraising.
So based on Nat and Nimrod said, we have conducted a comprehensive situational analysis, but these ones want to highlight more because they are more related to the age UK. So the key issue, and the main issue for the age UK is basically that elderly people, the number of elderly people tends to grow in the UK from now on. And at the same time, the number of people supporting this cause is going to decrease, as well as the source of funds. So for example here, people, actually they help charities, but they choose to support research, disease research charities, children, or even pets, and the elderly cause is like in the bottom. So that's the main issue for the age UK. Regarding the target, as Nadia already mentioned, the younger age group, they tend now to volunteer more for the past years, so it's something that we can capitalize on. And also the students, they look for volunteer work as a source of to boost their employability after the graduation. And in London, it concentrates the biggest chunk of students in the UK, so it's something that we can also capitalize on.
Okay, so for the competition, we look for a point of similarities, differentiation, and parities from those competitors to support and develop our strategies. But now I'd like to highlight mainly the contact the elderly. They are using the loneliness as a message of their activities and to attract new volunteers. So this is an important point that later on Helen will mention, as well as Carol said, other causes, they are more attractive to donors than the elderly. So we listed Macmillan and Barnardo's as two other causes that are more visible and more attractive for donors. And Barnardo's will be similar for age of case income, while Macmillan is they got 3 times more income. But they are really, we should look as inspiration because they're looking for online community engagements to share and support, and also activities for the young people. So these are, besides the fact that they are more attractive, they are doing great activities to be visible.
So based on the competition, the pre-trends that we already mentioned, we came up with 3 different target profiles. So the first 2 are more younger people. So here we have an 18-year-old who's not working yet, but she's very social media savvy. She's always connect. She's very supportive of ethical cause. She's part of a student union after her uni. John is 25 years old. He's initiated his career now. So he's looking for ways to improve his employability, and also he cares about the community and local issues. The third target profile is a family. So we have Vincent, Jack, Chris, and Carol the cat. Vincent and Chris' parents also in their latest stage of life, so they tend to engage more with this kind of cause. They also support cross-generation activities that they have a young child that wants to promote this to them as well.
Okay, so in terms of your unique positioning, we really liked the love later life and would like to celebrate that side of your brand more and raise awareness of that side of the brand. So rather than go with the traditional loneliness that's also then picking up on something that your competitors are doing, we'd like to move away from that. We think that the campaign should be much more positive, should be about positive messages about cross-generational sharing of lifetime activities, sharing friendship, sharing communication, and engaging a range of the community. Our overarching message is one that appeals to different ages. So in my life, I'll always remember the first moment my daughter smiled at us. That goes with the hashtag in my life for the campaign.
Which takes us into our IMC overview. So we wanted to just set the stage very quickly here before we get into the breakdown of it. We do have 3 stages, and you'll see throughout that there is the vertical and horizontal integration across these various stages of our campaign. We will go into this in more detail now, so I'll just let you have that image in your head, and we'll take it into the next part. And this is also a more visual representation, just to show you how that message and the alignment amongst the objectives all go back up to the main marketing objective.
So the kickoff for the campaign will be a PR stunt. We want to create buzz, we want to engage, we want to generate this hype around this cause. So we thought the first part of the campaign will bring people together. So how we will do that, we will implement a vintage memory board in busy tube stations in London, and where people can go inside, take a picture, and pin in this board and create this whole sharing moment. And why we'll do this? By implementing this, we will launch the campaign, we will create awareness, and it will appeal for a wide audience as well. So across generation, you and your granddaughter, you'll be able to take a photo and pin it in this board. And this will be endorsed by the hashtag in my life, and by that we can track and measure with analytics and even press coverage, because we want to be noticed, we want to create this buzz, and we will generate that with this campaign. For the second part of the campaign, we will start the second stage with direct mail from the Age-UK database, and we will send them instructions for this second part, and we will measure that by tracking the response to mailing, and this will appeal for an older audience, and Carol will talk about more the second stage
So the idea of Direct Mail is to promote letter writing, so and to continue the buzz created by the PR stunt, and also to promote the share your experience in hashtag in my life story. We are going to use the current Educate database, and at the same time we are going to target students at universities, inviting them to be the pen pals of these older generations. So the idea is to make them exchange letters, exchange experience between themselves. That is also the source of where we are going to get our volunteers from. So we are going to have this exchange of experience, exchange of letters, or a continual idea of the hashtag in my life. We might have to sharing the moments, and also promoting a cross-generation activity. That's why we want to strengthen this campaign as well.
To support the process of the campaign, advertising will be located in the underground, and it will be for 2 months. Such a positioning allows to attract attention of target group, increase awareness, and make a maximum exposure.
So for the PR, the implementation will be partly on the back of the tube advertising that we do through two of the stages of the campaign. So that's the first stage when we do the initial PR stunt, and the third stage which we'll go on to shortly. Social media will be run throughout, but we'll be using bloggers to raise stories, to share experiences, to use some of the letters to post them online. We'll also be posting some of the pictures that we're taking from the initial PR stunt. So the idea is we use an experiential thing, which is actually really quite noticeable in the UK at the moment, and really quite taken up by your target market, and we do that for the entire run of the campaign. The idea is to create maximum exposure for your brand, but also raise awareness of Age UK, but with that, again, that hashtag in my life and the positive messaging rather than something from a negative perspective. And again, the measurement will be in the third stage of the campaign, the event attendance, social media analytics, which we'll be doing throughout, and then there'll also be a research and survey stage, which will actually monitor the effectiveness of the campaign at the 3 stages.
So as we've seen so far, all our promotional efforts, social media is a big driving force behind them. So the major channels that we'll be looking at are YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and basically what we'll be trying to accomplish with this is awareness and engagement. Any video that we made from our PR stunts will be uploaded via YouTube and our social media, and hoping for it to get viral. And the kind of measurement tools that we'll use are analytics, and apart from that, as well as software as well to gauge how much response we're generating and how effective the campaigns are being. That's what I get. Coming back to our exciting big brand event. This is going to be a fundraising event, and it's going to be a 5-kilometer journey through Memory Lane. It could be a walk, a sprint, or jog, because it's supposed to encompass all generations and people with all kinds of physical abilities and stuff as well. So it can be anything, and essentially all our supporters, our donors, our volunteers, they will all come together. And this is going to form the acquisitional stage of our campaign, because this is where the donations are going to come from. And moreover, it's more significant because it's going to bring our whole campaign full circle, because it's going to connect our pen pals together. It's going to be an event. There's going to be food, there's going to be activities, so it's going to be fun for everyone. It's going to get our message across. And moreover, we'll be able to create more memories this way and keep on pushing our campaign through that way. The measurement of this will be through the attendance, as this will be a ticketed event, and this again will be promoted through our social media and PR media as well.
And this is when we also are going to reach that third objective. This is our main source of funding through this campaign, or through this event, and this is they'll have the sponsorships bringing any people have to raise X amount, and we could break that calculation down, but will result in that 1.2 million that we previously discussed.
So in terms of the budget, we've categorised for the different channels that we discussed before how we will be spending the budget. But we've also included contingency for in case there's anything that is additional spend. For example, if the PR stunt creates a lot more activity and we want to film more things, we'll couple some of that with the contingency. But obviously we've got the event planning, there's quite a large proportion of the budget has gone towards that, because we're going to do it outside in a London-based park, and so we need things like licenses and insurances and staff to be there to run the event. We've also included staff costs for the entire duration of the project, and as I say, a research and evaluation proportion of the budget, so that we can monitor throughout the campaign and then again at the end which things have been most successful. And part of the reason we were thinking about doing this is that this is a 6-month campaign, and we're largely focusing on London because that's where your target market is most likely to engage with you at the moment. And so we were thinking if we did this as a test case, you could then look back on it with the monitoring and evaluation and see whether that could apply to other cities as well.
So we have our timeline, and as we discussed our various activities throughout this campaign, we've broken it down based on advertising, PR, direct mail, and social media. Now, the social media throughout is something that we'll be monitoring and using consistently throughout the campaign. But something that is really important to note is that social media in this regard serves multiple purposes for us. It's not only something that we use to create the conversation and continue to engage throughout, proliferating that message of the hashtag in my life and encouraging people to share these moments of their life with each other. This is also something that we will use to proliferate our PR messages, and is something that we feel strongly needs to be present throughout and needs to be increased for future use beyond this campaign, is the presence and engagement factor. So moving on from that, we then have these other overlapping various activities, and mostly you can highlight the PR stunts and events and the press releases accompanying such, the advertising and the print posters, and of course the door drop. And now we've said for the month of December, we know that things can get a bit tricky during that time, especially with Christmas, but the reason why we put it for this month is because we're creating the hype in the November time. December is when they will then, after this hype, receive this direct mail, thus continuing that common thread and allowing them to take this extra time to feel a little bit more special and share that in their life moment. Our ROI here is 1.2, but we kept this simple because we feel strongly that this figure doesn't represent the full picture of the return on investment. But surely we can provide a monetary amount, but we also have to think about the continued awareness of these volunteers and how this is something that could extend beyond the campaign.
And in terms of achieving the campaign objectives, as we said in the beginning stage, there's a three-pronged approach to the campaign. So the first stage is with the PR stunt, is the starting of the awareness stage, and then that follows up with the social media. And then the second stage is about engagement, which is where we really target the students and the older generation to do the letter writing side of it. And then the third stage is through the event where we do the acquisition. And then we do a number of different channels running through various different points in the campaign to make sure that we've covered the vertical integration and the horizontal as well.